So today we're going to tackle something that's absolutely critical for any business that operates online. How do you actually accept payments securely? We're going to walk through a really powerful solution called the three-step redirect API. It's a method designed to protect both you and your customers by, and this is the key, keeping sensitive data completely out of your hands. Let's dive in.
And really, this is the big question, isn't it? Every single online merchant has to figure this out. If you handle credit card numbers yourself, directly, that is a huge liability. You're opening yourself up to all kinds of security risks and a mountain of complicated compliance rules. So how do you get around that?
Okay, so before we jump into the really smart solution, I think it's important we understand the risky way of doing things. Let's take a look at the old school approach, what's often called a direct post model, just so we can see exactly where the danger is.
Now take a look at this diagram. The really important thing to notice here is the flow of data. The customer types their payment info into your website. Then, that incredibly sensitive data, we're talking raw credit card numbers, travels straight to your server before you pass it along to the payment gateway. Your server becomes a middleman for that data, and that, right there, is a massive security risk.
And the moment that data touches your server, bam, you're on the hook. You become responsible for meeting all the super strict security standards of the payment card industry, or PCI DSS. That means audits, security scans, and a whole lot of work to prove your systems are locked down tight. If there's one little slip-up, all of that liability falls on you.
But thankfully, there is a much smarter way to handle this. The three-step redirect API is specifically designed to just completely remove your servers from that flow of sensitive data. It solves this entire problem with a really clever workflow.
And this is its core promise, right here. This one sentence really sums up the whole goal. Process payments securely while completely isolating your own systems. Your environment never sees, never touches, and never stores that credit card number.
Now, this diagram shows the new workflow perfectly. See how the merchant environment on the left is now completely walled off? There's a barrier between it and the direct path that the customer's data takes to the secure payment gateway. That dangerous connection we saw before is just gone. So how does it actually work? Let's break it down step by step.
It all starts with a secure behind-the-scenes conversation between your server and the payment gateway.
Right, so it's a simple three-step dance. We're kicking things off with step one, the setup. This is where your application gets the ball rolling, basically telling the gateway, hey, I've got a customer here who's ready to pay.
In this first step, your server sends a request to the gateway. But, and this is crucial, it only contains non-sensitive info. You've got your API key, the amount of the charge, and this really important piece called the redirect URL. Now notice what's missing. There's no credit card number, no expiration date, none of that. The gateway then sends back a unique one-time use form URL, and that URL is the key to this whole process.
All right, on to step two, the secure redirect. This is where the magic really happens, and where all that sensitive data gets handled safely.
Okay, we are now in the most critical part of this whole thing, the secure redirect. Your server's initial job is done. It's hands-off from here. The focus now shifts completely to the customer's browser and the payment gateway.
So your website shows a payment form to the customer, right? But here's the trick. The submit button on that form doesn't point to your server, it points to that special form URL you got in step one. So when the customer hits pay, their browser sends all those card details directly to the super secure PCI certified gateway. You can see it there in flows 5 and 6. Your server is completely bypassed. It never even sees the data.
So once the gateway has the info safe and sound, it does two things. First, it sends the customer's browser right back to that redirect URL you specified way back in step one. Second, and this is the most important part, it attaches a unique single-use key to that URL. We call it the token ID.
And that brings us to the grand finale, the final step, where you get to complete the transaction using that special token, all without ever handling the raw card details yourself.
And here we are at the finish line. Step 3, the token handoff. The customer is back on your site, and your server has just been handed that all-important token ID.
Now, your server just has to make one last call to the gateway, and it's so simple, so secure. All it sends is your API key and that token ID. The gateway uses that token to look up the secure payment details it stored in step 2, and it finalizes the charge. Transaction complete. And guess what? Your server never touched the sensitive data.
So you're probably wondering, what is this magic token, right? What makes it so secure? Well, the whole system is built on this really powerful idea called abstraction.
Basically, a token ID is just a secure placeholder. Think of it as a stand-in. It's a unique string of characters that represents the actual credit card data without being the data itself. To a hacker, it's completely useless. But to the gateway, it's the key that connects your final request back to the sensitive information it collected directly from the customer.
You know, I absolutely love this analogy. A valet key lets someone do one very specific, authorized thing, park your car, but it doesn't give them full access. They can't open the trunk or the glove compartment. The token ID is exactly the same. It lets you complete this one specific transaction, but it absolutely does not give you the ability to see or misuse the underlying card number.
So what's the real takeaway here? Why does this all matter so much? Well, for starters, by using this method, you dramatically slash your PCI compliance burden because the card data never ever touches your systems. This, of course, builds huge trust with your customers and protects you from the absolute nightmare of a data breach. And honestly, it just simplifies your whole payment process. You get to focus on building your business, not on becoming a security expert.
When you offload all that risk, you're not just adding security, you're freeing up time, money, and brain power. You're reducing complexity. It opens up all sorts of new possibilities for your business. Security is no longer a barrier holding you back. It's an enabler pushing you forward. So the real question is, what will you build now?